today we are talking about inverse functions. You might have learned inverses before, probably in pre-algebra, I think is when it would be taught. What you do is guys, quiet down. So what I do to find the inverse is I switch x. Where's my root pen? I switch x and y. So I'm going to switch x and y and then solve for the y. So on number 1, I'm going to have x equals 2y plus 3. So what I did, because remember f of x means the same thing as y. Then to get y by itself, what's the first step I want to do? Yeah, I'm going to subtract 3 on both sides. So then I get x minus 3 equals 2y. Yep. What? I changed x and y. The letters completely switched. And then I solve for it. So then I get y equals x minus 3 over 2 for my inverse function. What x that was by itself, Jerry? X equals 2y plus 3. What are you talking about? This one? I'm trying to get y by itself. No. So, this is my original equation, right? Right here. So what I did is I switched x and y. Because I'm trying to find the inverse equation, so I switched the letters. There used to be a way to do it on objective. So anyways, inverse, I was trying to show you on the dock camera, but it doesn't do it anymore. It's like the opposite. So like the mirror image kind of thing. No, I don't know why the graphing one doesn't come first. When we graph number 3, they're gonna reflect across the line y equals x. So like it's a mirror image. What was your question you did? Okay. So then the second part of this question wants me to find the input when the output is -7. So I'm gonna plug in -7 for the x. So it just gives me -5. Questions on number 1? I don't know why I put a -2 on the bottom. I think I was just getting a little too happy with the negatives. Yeah, if there's like radicals in there and stuff. Or it's an improper fraction. Or like doesn't divide nicely. Alright. So number 2, I want to find the inverse. I'm going to start off by switching x and y. I plugged in -7 for x and I simplified it. Yes, f of x is the same thing as y. What are you typing in the calculator? -11? Okay. So then, to get y by itself, what's the first thing I want to do? Are you typing 11 on the calculator, Jerry? No, I see what you're doing. You're not putting -7 minus 3 in parentheses. Because when you type it in the way you're doing it, you're saying -7 and then minus 3 halves. The whole thing's over a fraction. Alright. Then what? What? I'm sorry. No, because it doesn't ask me to find anything. Guys, you have to be quiet. Questions on number 2. Okay, number 3. I said, what? Number 3, Jerry. It wants me to find the inverse of f of x equals x squared. So I switched my x and y, so it's going to be x equals y squared. How do I get y by itself? Square root. So then I get y equals the square root of x. So this one, if I graph it on a calculator, looks like that. And then I'm going to do the other one in red. Looks like that. Both pretty good. Type them on the calculator now. But I know what they look like. X squared. The one I circled in red right here. So, what I was trying to tell you, Stephanie, is if I had this line drawn in, where the ruler is, they reflect over it. So, that's what an inverse is. It's like the x and the y values switch. Huh? Kind of like a reflection, yeah. How did I get what? So, remember, to find the inverse, I switch x and y, the letters. So, f of x is the same thing as y. And then x squared, so I wrote, the first thing I wrote was x equals y squared. I didn't have the square roots in there. And then to get rid of the squared, I took the square root on both sides. Yeah, that cancels out with the y, so then I just have regular y, but it stays with the x, because I can't cancel it out. Any other questions here? No, she's gone. Okay, so then sometimes it'll give me 2 equations and ask me if they're inverse functions. What I do is I'm going to plug this in for the x value. Yes. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in this equation that I've circled in for the entire part of x on the first equation. And then I want to get y equals x at the end when I simplify. Okay, so the red stuff is the f of x equation, and the blue stuff is the g of x equation. And then off to the side, on the left side, the f of g of x, that's telling me I plugged in the g equation for x. Because remember, if they're inverses, they should reflect across the line y equals x, like I was telling Stephanie earlier. So when I simplify at the end, I want y equals x. Yeah. Guys, you are way too loud. What did you say? So, what I'm saying is, normally what goes inside the parentheses is what I'm plugging in. I'm plugging in the other equation. That's why I wrote g of x. So that's saying I'm plugging in the other equation into my f of x equation. Yeah, kinda, yeah. I'm plugging in the inverse instead of a number. Well, I want to see if it's the inverse. I don't know if it's the inverse yet. So then I'm going to simplify. What do I do to simplify this? I can distribute. I can. No. Very no. Okay, so I distributed the 3. No. No, I was talking about the whole, sorry, right side. Nope. You always distribute to only the numerator. So then what do I want to do? Okay. So because both my numbers in the numerator can be divided by 3, I'm going to simplify them. 3x divided by 3 is just regular x. 3 divided by 3 is 1. So is that what I wanted to get for my final answer? Yes. But I have to check it both ways. So now I'm going to plug in this piece in for the x on the other equation. So questions on plugging into the first equation. Sometimes it only works one way. That's why I have to plug it into both equations. So now what I'm doing is I'm plugging the f equation in for x into the g equation. Because think about it, this red piece is the same thing as x, right? It's something I don't know. Why is my docking thing all messed up? Are you looking at the lunch menu? Okay. Then what do I want to do? It's not distribute because there's nothing multiplying by the red. So, no, I can just combine like terms on the top. Just letting you guys know I have a seating chart for you on Monday. Because you guys can't be quiet and I keep trying to do notes. What? You can distribute if it's on the left side, but it has to be multiplication. So. -1 plus 1 cancels out. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yep. So. Yes. So are they inverses? Yes. Yeah, when I get x, it has to be x for both of them. So if I got something like -x, then it wouldn't be an inverse. You can if they're not inverses. So, no. If it's not inverses, you'll get something random. It's x if it's an inverse, yeah. Is there any more examples on the back, or is that it? There's more examples? Let's practice on the back? Okay. So, take a few... Unless there's questions. questions, take a few minutes on the floor on the back. Other questions?